Latvia is one of the smallest countries in Europe. Its entire population is actually smaller than the city of Houston. There are no flashy advertisements, no loud marketing campaigns, and it rarely appears on the familiar dream destination lists of mass tourism. Many people simply glance over the name Latvia on the map, never truly stopping to ask what this place really is, or why it continues to exist so quietly in an increasingly noisy Europe. Yet Latvia holds things that make people look twice. A capital city with one of the highest concentrations of Art Nouveau architecture in the world. Old streets that don't need filters to feel beautiful, carrying a calm, understated elegance. Nothing here tries to demand attention, but the longer you observe, the more you begin to sense the depth of its history and the intention behind its spaces. Latvian women are often described as highly educated, independent, and multilingual. But they are not flashy, not loud, and they do not live to impress others. Here, beauty exists alongside restraint, and confidence is expressed more through quiet presence than public display. Then there is one detail that makes many people in the West pause and reconsider. The cost of living in Latvia, right in the heart of Europe, is far lower than what they are used to. Not cheap in a way that feels limiting, but affordable in a way that allows life to slow down, feel lighter, and breathe more easily. Latvia does not try to impress you, but if you stay long enough, you may begin to wonder whether this is not just a place to visit, but a place to live. So stay until the end of this video, because Latvia is not what you expect. 1. Who is Latvia on the map of Europe? Latvia is located in the Baltic region, positioned between Eastern and Northern Europe, bordered by the cold Baltic Sea and vast stretches of pine forests that seem to go on forever. On the map of Europe, Latvia is easy to overlook. It does not sit on major tourist routes. It is not a center of power, and it is rarely mentioned in mainstream media. Latvia's land area is roughly comparable to the USS state of West Virginia. Its population is under 2 million people, tiny by European standards, and almost invisible when placed next to Western powerhouses. But small does not mean poor, and it certainly does not mean backward. Latvia is not a country trying to chase the world. It has chosen to move at a slower pace, quieter, more discreet. It does not advertise its achievements or compete for attention. Here, everything exists at its own rhythm, slow enough for you to notice that you are truly living in each moment, not just passing through it. Despite its size and reserved nature, Latvia is fully integrated into modern Europe. It is a member of the European Union. It uses the euro as its currency, and it belongs to the Schengen area, allowing free movement across much of Europe. Latvia is not outside the game. It simply chooses to stand away from the spotlight, where life is less noisy, more grounded, and more real. 2. Riga, the quiet capital. Riga does not welcome you with spectacle. It does not overwhelm you with crowded squares, packed photo spots, or the constant noise of tourism. It does not try to make you say, "Wow," at first glance. Instead, Riga reveals itself slowly, like a city that only comes into focus when you are willing to slow down with it. Riga is often described as a living museum, a place where history is not locked behind glass, but woven into everyday life. More than 800 historic buildings have been preserved almost intact. Cobblestone streets, curved wrought iron balconies, tall arched windows, and intricately decorated facades are still being used not as exhibits, but as homes, offices, and cafes. What truly sets Riga apart is its Art Nouveau architecture. Nearly 1/3 of the city center is built in this style, giving Riga one of the highest concentrations of Art Nouveau buildings in the world. Yet unlike many famous architectural cities, this beauty is not confined to tourist routes. You encounter it while walking to work, buying groceries, or taking a quiet morning stroll. The feeling in Riga is unhurried, uncrowded. not overly shaped by tourism. Cafes do not blast music to attract attention. Even in the city center, the streets remain calm enough for you to hear your own footsteps echo softly against the stone. People live here, they are not performing life for an audience. Riga is not like Paris, where every corner feels like a stage. Not like Prague, where history is constantly surrounded by crowds. And not like Rome, where the past often overwhelms the present. In Riga, history and daily life exist side by side, balanced without competing for attention. Riga is beautiful in a way that does not need to show off. A kind of beauty reserved for those willing to observe, to sit in silence, and to stay long enough to realize that this city was not built to impress, but to be lived in. 3. Latvian women. Beautiful but not showy. Latvian women often make an impression at first glance, but not because they try to draw attention. They are often tall with graceful features and a calm presence. Yet what makes many people pause and observe longer is not appearance but the way they exist in daily life, composed, self-possessed, and with no need to prove anything to the world around them. Latvian women are highly educated. Many speak 2, 3, even 4 languages, Latvian, Russian, English, and sometimes German. They are accustomed to independence, to making their own decisions, and to defining their lives without relying on outside validation. Here, reserve is not a limitation. It is a form of self-respect deeply rooted in the culture. To understand this, it helps to look at history. Latvia endured major upheavals throughout the 20th century: world wars, occupations, and long waves of emigration. Many generations of men left or never returned, creating a lasting gender imbalance that still shapes society today. This is not a sensational story, but a quiet reality that influences family structures and emotional life. In modern Latvia, this reality is visible. Many women live single, not because they lack options, but because they are unwilling to compromise easily. At the same time, traditional expectations remain: caring for family, raising children, maintaining stability. And despite high education levels, income gaps between men and women still exist. It is a gentle yet persistent paradox. Women are increasingly independent, while old frameworks have not fully disappeared. It is within this fragile balance that the true nature of Latvian beauty becomes clear. In Latvia, beauty is not a tool to attract attention. It is not meant for the stage, nor for seeking approval. It is simply a natural part of being human, existing quietly, alongside intelligence, resilience, and a very distinct inner strength. 4. Cost of living, European, but not expensive. This is the part that makes many people in the West pause and reconsider what they have come to accept as normal. Latvia sits in the heart of Europe, uses the euro, and belongs to the Schengen area. Yet its cost of living does not follow the familiar expensive trajectory of much of the continent. Right in central Riga, where some of the city's most beautiful streets and Art Nouveau buildings are located, you can still rent a fully furnished one-bedroom apartment for around $500 to $600 per month. High ceilings, wooden floors, reliable heating, and preserved historical details. This is not temporary housing, but a space meant for real everyday living. Daily life feels significantly lighter as well. A traditional lunch of stewed meat, seasonal vegetables, dark rye bread, and a local drink costs around $6. This is not a cheap meal meant for cutting corners, but a proper meal, filling, nourishing, and free from the constant mental math that so often accompanies eating out. Riga's public transportation system is efficient and easy to use. Trams, buses, and trolleybuses connect most parts of the city, and a monthly pass costs about $30. For residents aged 60 and over, many routes are either free or heavily discounted. It is a system designed not just for visitors, but for people who live here long-term. Compared to the United States, the difference goes beyond numbers. In Latvia, tipping is not expected. There is no constant pressure to consume in order to keep up. And most importantly, there is no feeling that money is being drained away simply to exist. Life here does not operate on a pay-to-exist model. It allows you to breathe more slowly, spend less, and devote more of your energy to actually living. 5. Rhythm of life and people. Life in Latvia is not measured by speed, but by stability. Latvians tend to speak little, take their time opening up, and rarely express themselves loudly. They do not engage in casual small talk, do not ask too many personal questions, and do not try to make an impression at first meeting. Yet this quietness is not coldness, it is their way of respecting boundaries and personal space. In Latvia, friendships do not form quickly, but they last. People do not become close after just a few encounters, but once trust is established, relationships are often deep and genuine. This is a society where value is not placed on how much you say, but on how you behave when words are unnecessary. There is an unspoken rule that most foreigners come to understand after living here for some time. If you are polite, live decently, and avoid being loud or showy, you will be respected. You do not need to constantly assert yourself. You do not need to prove your status or success. Respect is earned through conduct, not performance. When night falls, Riga and many other Latvian cities become noticeably calm. There are no flashing lights everywhere, no pounding music echoing through the streets until morning. Nightlife here is subdued and restrained, small bars, warm lighting, quiet conversations, and then silence returning to the city. This rhythm makes Latvia especially suitable for older residents, remote workers, or anyone who has grown tired of noise and constant pressure. Here you are not swept along by urgency. You are allowed to slow down, and more importantly, to live at your own pace. 6. Architecture history. You live with architecture in Latvia does not stand still in the past. It is not locked inside museums, nor does it exist merely as a backdrop for travel photos. Here, history continues to breathe, to be used, and to remain present in everyday life. The most visible imprint is Art Nouveau, especially the works associated with architect Mikhail Eisenstein. Elaborately decorated facades, bold curves, and expressive symbolic details were never meant only to impress the eye. They reflect a time when Riga was a thriving commercial center of the Baltic region, when a rising middle class expressed its ambitions through architecture. What makes this remarkable is that many of these buildings are still used today as homes, offices, and cafes, places where people live and work every day. Further south, Rundale Palace represents another layer of Latvia's architectural identity, formal, symmetrical, and deeply rooted in the Baroque tradition. More than a beautiful structure, the palace is a reminder of the period when Latvia lay within the orbit of Europe's great empires. Its French-style gardens, gilded interiors, and carefully balanced design speak of an era when architecture was a statement of order, power, and permanence. Alongside this grandeur exists Latvia's folk architecture, traditional wooden houses scattered across rural areas. Built from pine with sloped roofs and hand-carved details, these homes are simple and unpretentious, yet enduring. They reflect a long-standing relationship between Latvian people and the natural environment around them. Then there are the concrete forms of the Soviet era, brutalist, heavy, and sometimes austere. These structures are not beautiful in the conventional sense, but they are inseparable from the country's collective memory. Latvia does not erase them, nor does it hide them. They remain as reminders of a difficult but real chapter in history. It is this coexistence of architectural layers, from ornate to modest, from refined to raw, that gives Latvia its distinctive character. Architecture in Latvia is not meant for photographs. It exists so that you can live with it every day, walk through it, touch it, and slowly realize that history is not behind you, it is right beside you. 7. Beyond Riga, the real Latvia. To truly understand Latvia, staying only in Riga is not enough. This small country does not move to a single rhythm. Each region carries its own pace, its own atmosphere, and once you step outside the capital, Latvia begins to reveal its deeper character. Just about 30 minutes by train from Riga is Jurmala, a seaside town stretching along the Baltic coast. There are no massive resort complexes or noisy beaches here. Instead, you find soft white sand, tall pine forests running parallel to the shoreline, and air scented with sea salt mixed with pine resin. Life in Jurmala flows at a natural resort-like pace. People walk, cycle, sit for hours in small cafes, and let time pass without urgency. Further inland lies Sisis, a small medieval town surrounded by hills and forests. This is where the idea of slow living becomes tangible. The town is compact enough to explore entirely on foot, and quiet enough that you hear wind and birds more often than traffic. Cobblestone streets, an old castle, family-run cafes, and a steady daily rhythm create a sense of calm that feels increasingly rare in modern Europe. Farther east is Latgale, a rural region with a strong Eastern European identity. This is not a place shaped by mass tourism. There are fewer visitors, fewer signs, and fewer services designed for outsiders. But because of that, Latgale feels deeply authentic. Wooden villages, old churches, blended languages, and a lifestyle rooted in land and community make it feel like a Latvia untouched by filters. 3 places, 3 distinct rhythms. Jurmala is gentle and restorative. Sisis is peaceful and historic. Latgale is raw and deeply grounded. Latvia is not uniform, and it is precisely this diversity that gives the country its depth. Each region offers a different way of living, yet all of them lead back to the same core values: slowness, balance, and authenticity. 8. Nature, climate, and the trade-offs. Latvia is a country deeply connected to nature, but living close to nature does not mean a perfect life. It has 4 distinct seasons, each with its own character, and alongside that beauty come very real trade-offs that anyone considering long-term life here needs to understand. Spring and autumn bring fresh air, changing forests, and a gentler pace of life. Summers are mild, rarely too hot, and this is when Latvians spend more time outdoors by the Baltic Sea lakes and forests, enjoying long daylight hours. Winter, however, is different. It is long cold and noticeably darker than in southern Europe. Sunshine is limited, temperatures stay low for extended periods, and this is not a climate that suits everyone. In return, Latvia offers environmental advantages that many European countries are slowly losing. The air is remarkably clean, especially outside major cities. Forests cover more than half of the country, creating a vast and balanced natural ecosystem. Fresh water is abundant, with rivers, lakes, and wetlands helping maintain high drinking water quality and low pollution levels. Life here is not surrounded by constant smog noise or heavy industrial pressure. That said, Latvia is not immune to climate change. Winters are gradually becoming shorter. Deep freezes and heavy snowfall are less consistent than in the past. Weather patterns are more unpredictable, with stronger winds and heavier rainfall appearing more frequently in some years. And even as winters become milder, overall heating costs remain an important consideration, especially in older buildings and during long cold seasons. Latvia does not hide its downsides. It offers wide-open nature, clean air, and rare quiet, but in return, you must learn to live with long winters, fewer hours of sunlight, and a climate that is slowly changing. This is not a perfect place, but for those who accept the trade-offs, Latvia provides a very different quality of life, slower, cleaner, and more closely connected to the natural world. 9. Is Latvia the right place for you? Latvia does not try to be a choice for everyone. And perhaps that is exactly why it is so clear about who it is not for. This is not a place for those who need a fast-paced life where everything is constantly moving and stimulating. It is not for people who dislike silence or who feel uneasy when a city settles into quiet after sunset. And it is certainly not for those who need nightly excitement, bright lights, loud music, and energy that never fades. But Latvia opens up a very different kind of space for those seeking the opposite. It suits people who want a lower cost of living while still remaining fully within Europe, safe, structured, and connected. It suits remote workers who value reliable internet, calm surroundings, and a rhythm of life without constant pressure. It suits retirees who no longer want to race against time but to live alongside it. And it especially suits those who appreciate slowing down, to observe, to reflect, and to live more deeply. Latvia does not ask how much money you make. It asks only one question: do you want to live faster? Or do you want to live deeper? If this story made you think, leave a comment below and share your perspective. Like the video if you appreciate honest, unfiltered storytelling. And subscribe to continue this journey, exploring places that are not perfect, but truly worth understanding.